You're watching the Unlocked Door podcast with Marcus Wolfka. Hello, everybody, and today's episode is going to be on something that I've touched on before. I've been semi diagnosed with non-24-hour sleep disorder. Technically, it's non-24-hour sleep wake disorder. I call it sleep disorder, or it's called N24 for short. I want to go into details about it for people because some people don't know what it is or how it affects some people. So this is me trying to help bring knowledge to people on Zed's subject. So I do have like a couple windows here open to help people understand it. I do have my own notes from when I was talking to a doctor. I have those out, and then there's certain terms that off the top of my head I don't know. So I do have like a little notepad here on the other screen with the what the terms are to try to help you guys out with it. But to put it in perspective, non-24-hour sleep disorder, it messes with your internal clock. Now, that's all I'm going to say on the subject because this is going to be a lot of reading, and I'm going to read like as much as I can first, and then put some of my own little knowledge in little trinkets, because I don't want to just be reading verbatim things. I will skim through some of these articles because I have like 4 on one screen. I'm a very high multitasker when it comes to stuff like this. I love having multiple things on a screen or screens because I use my big screen, my 2 monitors here, and it helps me. Is that a crack in my screen? I think there's a... I'll check that later. I don't know what that is. But non-24, I'm going to call it N24. So it makes it easier. I don't have to run through the whole thing. It is something that's neurological. And here's the thing about it. It actually can happen to a lot of people who are blind as well. That's a little nugget of information for you guys as well. And it doesn't matter what age you are, you can have it from birth till any number of years old. At any age, you can get N24. It's... Oh, man. So it is classified as a CRSD. So that is a... I'm trying to remember how to pronounce that. It's circadian rhythm sleep disorders, which is a chronic steady pattern compromising daily delays in sleep onset. So basically it really messes with how you sleep and wake, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it right now. So I'm going to read a little bit of this article here right now. So basically it's saying that the body essentially just insists that it doesn't know what 24 hours is anymore. Generally it thinks 24 hours is longer than it actually is, messing with your internal rhythm clock. It very rarely it does do shorter. I have both. Sometimes days feel shorter in my brain and I need a lot of sleep. It messes with a lot of my internal clock and everything, according to my doctor. But for the majority of it, my brain thinks that days are longer than they are actually. And your brain just refuses to adjust to the daylight cycle. So when the moon and sun come out, it refuses to do that, making it impossible to sleep at normal times, which can cause day shifts or other aspects of the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm. So a circadian rhythm or circadian cycle, this is me reading word for word, is a natural internal process that regulates the sleep-wake cycle and repeats roughly every 24 hours, and it can refer to any process that originates within an organism and responds to the environment. Those 24-hour rhythms, I forgot. Oops. So just hold on. I frigged up. 24 hours, clock. So it's basically, it happens in plants, animals, fungi. They all have this natural, instinctive circadian rhythm or circadian clock that tells them, hey, this is when we have to go to bed. Hey, this is when we have to wake up. So generally, it's like for people who work like the 9 to 5 jobs, getting up and going to bed at the exact same time every single night, or roughly, you begin to develop a rhythm so that your mind generally wakes you up around, like, let's say it's a 15-minute drive to work. It'll wake you up an hour before when you need to. It'll wake you up before your alarm gets off. That's why sometimes your alarm wakes you up after you've already spontaneously woke up before it. I worded that wrong, but it's because. So, rewind. That type of clock, it's the one that wakes you up before your alarm. Generally, that's what it is. And it's basically that clock that tells you your 24 hours. What your 24 hours is for a normal human being. Some of us aren't normal. Trust me. There are going to be cuts in this video. I don't like doing it with the podcast, but this is like a really informational one to try to help all of those out there who are dealing with something like this. Now, I'm not going to tell you like certain things, like how to cope with it, because I'm still trying. I'm not going to tell you any remedies or anything like that. I'm just giving you the information so that if you have a friend who has this, or if you do have this, you can kind of understand it a little more. I'm hoping I'm doing the best I can with it. I will say, though, there is an article that says it is uncommon in childhood. Although it does happen in any age, it is uncommon in childhood. It's more prone to happen in your later years, but sometimes in your mid-20s. And one of the biggest things that can cause it to happen is trauma to the head. That's what happened to me. I had trauma happen to my head. I was working at a moving company, and this guy, I don't blame him for what happened to me. I really don't. Because he was going through a very tough time. He shouldn't have been working, honestly, but he had to. He found one of his workmates that was a friend of his in their trailer and they had committed suicide. And this was like 2 days before the incident with what happened to me happened. So they were having a funeral or a get-together for that person the day of my incident. So the guy wasn't thinking right. He had put everything in the truck, but he wasn't really thinking. He just wanted to get the truck done. And he had put shelves from a shelving unit on top of the shelving unit that was about 12 feet tall, almost. It was just under 12 feet, but it was like around 12 feet tall. It was really, really, really tall. It was more than 9 feet, because the truck was about 14 feet up, and then it went up a little further, but the section that it was in, it was about 14 feet high. So we were moving the shelving unit, and we had to tilt it a little bit, and we ended up tilting it, and all the shelves from the unit came sliding. I heard somebody say, "Look out," and by that time I looked, and I went like this, but as I went like this, I got hit with majority of all of the shelves. They hit me in the head, and it caused me to have whiplash because I was moving my head at the exact same time, and it caused trauma to my brain, which this is my right side. It happened to my right side. I know it's flipped on the camera, kind of ish. And I think this is how it works, but because I got hit in the right part of my brain, it affected most of the muscles in my left side. It did affect a little bit of my right because that's I lost a lot of my strength. And it made me very, very depressed when that happened because I like being Mr. Strong Guy. So I'm not the strongest of my friends, I know that. But I surprise a lot of people with how much strength I actually have. So it really brought me down. I was very depressed at that point. Like I was already depressed, but it hit me at a very, very high scale because I felt like I couldn't do much. But before like I knew that I had the concussion from that, I took a week to go to the doctor because I had never had a workplace injury, nor have I ever had a concussion. So I was like, and I've been hit in the head with things before, and I was completely fine. But I noticed after that happened, I'd be standing still, but it would feel like my whole body was like still perpetually in motion. I couldn't stand up straight. I had a permanent headache that I couldn't get rid of. I still have a permanent migraine, is what it is, and I live with the permanent migraine. A lot of people are like, "What? You have a migraine? You wake up and go to bed with a migraine?" I'm like, "Yeah." So like, how do you not like react to it? I'm like, I've gotten so used to it that the only times you'll see me complain about it is when it's going past whatever my pain threshold is at this moment in time. Which that happened the other day actually, at work. But yeah, it took me a week to go to the doctor because I noticed like I'm perpetually in motion. I think I might have a concussion. So I went to the doctors. They told me about it, and yeah. Da, 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 da. Brain. Most people with this disorder, they find it very, very difficult, and it severely impairs their ability to function in schools, employment. Technically, I should not be working. I do it anyway because I have to because I can't get disability for it right now because it's a head injury, which is stupid, and it affects your social lives as well. It and because I got hit in the head, this has nothing to do with non-20. This has nothing to do with N24, really. But when I got hit in the head, it affected a lot of. I wouldn't say my personality, but I've always been an empath. But I became an extreme empath after that knock to the head. I became an extreme empath. Like I can't hide my emotions as much as I used to. And if whatever somebody's feeling, I immediately feel it at a higher scale. And it just hits you harder now. Me, at least. It hits me harder. Um, some things that you get from it are you'll get random sleepiness, fatigue, or it says right there, headache. And you can go into micro sleeps, which I've actually done at work when we're driving. I'll doze off for like off and on. Like I'll be sitting there fighting it, and then I'll doze off, and I'll wake up like 30 seconds later after I've done that, and I've got immense amount of energy. It decreases your appetite. You're always in depressed moods. It hits you very, very hard. It's not a fun time. I'll say that. My phone keeps going off, and it's annoying the hell out of me. I don't. I forgot to put it on complete silent. It's on vibrate, so you won't really hear it. But sorry, I'm just reading some of this because I don't want to throw it all word for word at you. I want to kind of. That's something I was always good at school. Actually, you give me like an article that I have to make it into my own words. I can take it, I read a little bit, and I'm able to do that. There's one thing here that I see that I didn't read before. That it's sometimes preceded by delayed sleep phase, which I have no idea what the hell it is DSPD, more often known as delayed sleep phase syndrome, or also delayed sleep wake phase disorder. God, the names of these things. It's not as bad as some of the other names for other things. Disorder. I might have had that before. Oh shit. I gotta talk to my doctor about that. I'm not self diagnosing right now, but I've never really mentioned these things to my doctor. I just want to tell him my symptoms and see what he thinks. I don't go to the doctor and say, "Do I have this?" No, I just if I see something and I'm like saying like this kind of sounds like me, I go to the doctor and I tell him like these symptoms that I've had for a long time in my life. And usually I get their professional opinion, what they think, and I don't read word for word of what happened here. I just whatever symptom I see there that actually portrays to me, I tell them, and I tell them whatever things were accompanied with it, usually through my life. Because I'm not one to ever self-diagnose. Yes, I'm pretty good at guessing what I have, but I never full on self-diagnose myself. Yeah, so this disorder, the delayed sleep phase disorder, it's a disorder that affects the timing of sleep, the peak period of alertness. Stop, get off my screen. The core body temperature, the rhythm, and the hormonal as well. Shut up, phone. I hit the pole. Oops. My phone's fine. I forgot the pole was there. As well as other daily cycles. Oh my god. This definitely describes me. People with DSPD generally fall asleep some hours after midnight and have difficulty waking up in the morning. Kind of. I kind of had that. Like the waking up. Because some days I was just like, I don't want to wake up. But that's like a normal thing. So I didn't have that part. I generally don't go to bed at before midnight, especially lately. The only reason why I've been falling asleep before midnight is because I've been exhausted because I've needed to heal. Um, I hurt my tailbone a little bit, and I smashed my knee today, but my knee's fine. But I've been having to repair a little bit of my tailbone, so that's been something. But yeah, that's something to look into. But if you're noticing you're having like trouble with sleeping, go to your doctor, tell them your symptoms. Don't say, "Do I have this?" Just tell them your symptoms. Don't ever self-diagnose. I don't care if you're a doctor. Never self-diagnose yourself, because that's how things go bad. You always need somebody else's outlook on a professional opinion. Yes, you generally know what's going on with you better than anyone, but it's the same with when I'm going through something and I need to get advice. I don't outright ask somebody to give me the answers. One of the things I do with my friends is I just go through a conversation with them. Just a normal type of conversation, and whatever they say, I listen to it, but I come up with my own solution because I just needed to talk it out with somebody. I'm not looking for them to give me an answer. I'm looking to find the answer myself. Because if I just do it by myself, I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm not going to get anywhere. So talking to somebody else helps me illuminate some lights that I didn't think I would look at, and gives me a better outlook and better answer. So, yeah. I'm not going to list all of the symptoms here, but some of the symptoms that I mentioned to my doctor before I even looked at any of these articles, but he told me to look at some of these articles and see which symptoms I do have that I didn't mention to him. So some of the ones that I had was, at the time, Like within the first 6 months of the concussion, I had difficulties concentrating. I couldn't multitask, which was freaking annoying me. I had cognitive dysfunction, which it affected me a lot. I had extreme fatigue, extreme nausea from the headaches. Headaches is one of them. Um, Suicidal thoughts is one of them. Muscle pain. I had another. I had that. Joint pain. Photosensitivity is something I've always had. But this is one of the things. So, this one of the symptoms, and then there's impaired balance. I did have impaired balance from that. Now, some of the ones that I didn't have were loss of muscle coordination, menstrual irregularities, because I don't really think it has something to do with me because I don't know much about that. Hallucinations, weight gain. There's apraxia. It's a motor disability disorder caused by damage to the brain. I did not have that. I had confusion. Depressed moods. I forgot about that one. I didn't look at the other side. Diarrhea is one of them. Hair loss is one of them. Yeah. So there are some causes that they're showing here as well. These are the things I really wanted to get into. And then we'll end this off. But I just want, like I said, I just want people to know a little bit more about N24. This is something that affects not everyone, but it affects a good chunk of people. And this might be a boring episode, but I hope it does shine some light and you take some information from this. Like seriously, go to your doctor. If you feel anything, nothing to do with this really. Yes, if there's something to do with this, but go to your doctor, tell them your symptoms when you feel off about something. Tell them your symptoms, get a professional opinion on anything. But never, and I cannot stress enough, ask them, do I have this? Never at least start off with that, but tell them your symptoms, talk with them for a little bit, and then maybe near the middle or the end of the conversation, politely and kind of push it in there. Like, is there a possibility that I could have something like non-24-hour sleep disorder or something like that? But never try to push it, because it's not going to help you. It's not really going to help. I'm not going to tell the blind ones, but okay. Yeah, one of the biggest causes from it is a head injury. What is that? But yeah, I'm not seeing anything else in these two articles. There could be something else, but I don't want to take that time to look it up at this moment in time, because we've already hit the peak of the episode. However, like, one of the things for causes is blunt force trauma to the head. It's concussion related. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you took some information from that. I hope this was enlightening to some of you. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. This has been the Unlocked Door podcast. And remember, I love each and every single one of you. You guys are so amazing. And I just noticed the other day that the channel had hit over 40 subscribers. Something that honestly I didn't think we would do, because we kept on staying at 37 around there for the longest time. So truly thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are incredible. I love you all. I did not hit the button by mistake.